Welcome to the Social Media Church podcast. I'm Nils Smith, joined by one of my favorite humans on the whole planet and in the Northeast. Probably my second favorite human. Well, I'll maybe call you my fourth favorite human behind my wife and kids. Kenny Jahng. Kenny, welcome to the podcast.
I love how you geographically qualified me as the Northeast friend.
You're my favorite person here in the Northeast outside of family, and you're basically family. The number of meals and coffees and co-working spaces and Zoom calls that we have done and trips and conferences, and the list could go on. The things that we've done together and the dreams that we've dreamed together and the tensions we've navigated. Basically, I just, and I say tensions, I share with you my problems and you are my counselor, talking me off of crazy ledges. And today I got to talk you off the ledge of your technology not working good. So you were grumping and now you're smiling really big. And so this is making me happy to the quick turn, Kenny.
I'm frustrated with technology. The phrase that I think that you and I always say is that our grandkids will never have this problem. Right?
I just call it human error. Is whatever is going on is our fault, and we just couldn't figure it out between the two of us. But luckily, you were a smart man and got it figured out, and we get to have this conversation. And the past few conversations you and I have had together have all been AI centered, and you have been at the forefront of that. You and I met as we were both on the forefront of online church. And then we, have had so many conversations. You were actually the first guest. I'm always ashamed to say that on this podcast. I was number 2 on the Social Media Church podcast when DJ Trong was launching this, and you have stayed on the forefront. But this world of AI is changing the world around us really fast, impacting everything and everyone, and only going, we're in like dial-up internet days of AI, and so it is scary to a lot, it is exciting to some, and it is confusing to almost everyone. And so, Kenny, how would you describe the current state of AI as you see it today?
Yeah, it was a mistake that the world got a hold of ChatGPT and everything, right? In a way, we are at the very, very beginning of an innovation front, and this is the space typically reserved for basically people like you and me, right? Tinkerers and early adopters. Yes. The general public typically does not get hold of, or even is bothered with technologies this early on. But ChatGPT changed everything, and yes. Now here we are. It feels like there's some confusion, some whiplash. We use the word velocity. Yes. It reminds me of the days when I was working in a venture catalyst, like an incubator, and we used to measure the leapfrogs and the bounds at which innovation was happening in dog years, right? In a single calendar year, we saw 7 iterations of technologies, and you just had to keep up. And it feels no different than that with AI right now. And just a clarification, I started this Facebook group called AI for Church Leaders.
Yes.
It's not Al. My name is not Al. When you spell it out, people keep asking, who's Al?
You're not Al. I thought you were changing your name. So it's good to know. You're still Kenny. So Kenny, you're actually putting out some videos that I think is not actually you. I think it's AI. Is that true? Are some of the videos you're putting out on the internet an AI version of you?
Yeah. So what's hilarious is there are some. Yes. So the answer is yes. I am right now in the process of testing out different tools, and our team has cloned me in a bunch of different videos.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's audio that's cloned, sometimes it's videos that clone, sometimes it's both that's cloned. And a lot of times people will comment that says, this looks weird, it still looks odd. The hilarious part is some of those comments come when it's really just me in front of a camera versus AI stuff. And so, and vice versa. They'll say, that was a great video. And it was totally AI scripted, AI generated, AI cloned. They will love that. And then some of the stuff that's really naturally me as a human in front of a camera, they'll be like, that's so stiff. That's so boring. That's so synthetic.
Yep.
What does that say about me,
Yeah,
Nils?
well, so I mean, AI versions, and one of the things that Gary Vaynerchuk has talked a lot about is the future of AI influencers and what that will look like when we can shape, the person people see to look like whatever we want them to look like and to sound like whatever we want them to sound like and to say whatever we want them to say. And this is coming. And basically what you're saying, and it's actually not coming, it's here.
It's here. I mean, this
yeah.
month, Facebook started to launch for influencers ways to actually clone themselves. I don't know. I haven't looked deeply into it. I don't know if they're training the model on everything that you've posted on your account to date, which I think is an easy way to train the data on every specific individual.
Yeah.
But yeah, influencers right now, today in 2024, have that option on Facebook. Facebook has made leaps and bounds. They are the silent competitor in the AI race right now, while ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity and all these other guys are getting the huge headlines. Did you know right now in Instagram and WhatsApp and Facebook that you have a bar where it's typically the search bar is AI enabled? And so yesterday I asked it to help me write an article right from that search bar within one of the Meta apps. And so, they're the sleeping giant that I think is going to catch everybody by surprise.
Interesting. Well, let's talk about some of the tools that you see, and you're leading the conversation. If the people that are listening, the leaders listening to this podcast, are not yet in your Facebook group, AI church leaders, AI for church leaders and pastors, they need to go get in that today, because that is where the conversation is developing. It's fun to see people posting in there. I'm trying out this. I'm experimenting with this. What do you guys think about this? Or does anybody know of a tool for this? Where church leaders are helping each other get ahead of this technology. And I love this because we're in a state, and I remember when you and I were doing online church ministry, we were getting so much backlash from church leaders of like, this is wrong, this is heretical, and now I feel like that conversation is like, okay, we've learned from our lessons of getting behind of technology to we want to get ahead. A lot of church leaders are really looking to get ahead of AI, and it feels like the race you can never keep up with and definitely not win. But seeing some church leaders do some really innovative, interesting things. What are maybe some of the top tools that you're seeing are AI? Because I think that's part of the overwhelming. ChatGPT is the fastest technology adoption in the history of technology, but AI is more than ChatGPT. What all out there are you seeing people use and effectively, and that you really get your eye on?
Yeah, we basically are in a point where there's a proliferation of tools. The end game has not come to date yet, because there will be losers and winners of all these tools that are out there, right? It is a world where we say there is an app for that, and that truly is the case in AI. Exponential AI Next, we just did a survey recently talking about what tools people are using, like practically speaking. And if you go to the AI Next page on exponential.org, you can see the entire results of the survey. And there we found, I think, the top 20 tools that people are using currently. And they aren't, it's not surprising. The tools that we are seeing practitioners actually use on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, is really stuff that you and I would really, I guess, expect to be used at this point. I think the question is, in this next chapter, what are the tools that are going to emerge? So, for example, like I think ChatGPT obviously is number one, and then Grammarly is another one. Now, Grammarly, I think, is just one of those things where people don't see the threat of the AI in using that, because we're all familiar with what a spell checker is, and a grammar checker seems intuitive, and then now it's helping you create content. But some of the others on this list is Canva. Canva has about a little less than a dozen native AI functions that are built into it, and they have basically hooks into other AI tools that you can use. Google, Gemini, Bing, DALL-E, which is an image generator from
Yep.
OpenAI, Midjourney, Microsoft Copilot, that's obviously, Claude,
Yep.
Sermon Shots,
Yep.
and Jasper. So there's, these are the big brand names that you typically would expect the mass public to use. Again,
Yeah.
I think the church is going to start to see in a daily basis of, how do we figure out how to AI enable our workflow? I think you're going to
Yep.
start to see more specialized tools come out of the gate.
I love that. I love that. What, Kenny, for you specifically,
Yeah.
what tool are you using more than any other tool?
Ooh, I would say right now Perplexity is the popular kid.
Okay.
So,
and what is Perplexity for those that don't know? What do you do with it?
So Perplexity is it's another AI chatbot basically. But the thing that I love about it is it integrates real-time search results, as well as it adds footnotes to everything that it does. So you can actually click through and verify anything. If you want to go down a rabbit hole, you can click through. Basically, it's like a bibliography, right?
Huh.
And the metaphor that I say that church leaders should think about when they're using any of our AI tools out here is think of it as the super smart, intelligent seminary student intern that just joined your team this week, right? So they don't know all the nuances, all your pet peeves, your best practices, your theological leanings, etc. But they're really smart and capable and willing to do anything for you. And Perplexity is that, in that it actually goes out, does the search, does the research, and then will come back with basically a summary of the answer that you're asking for. So I have not used Google in a couple of months, honestly.
Yeah.
I go to Perplexity, and there's a Perplexity app on my phone, and I use voice to talk to Perplexity, and Perplexity talks back, just like ChatGPT now has voice in their chat in their app on the mobile phone. And so I think it's a combination of what you're seeing AI do is it's combining real-time data with the AI capabilities. And then this is the age of voice. We got to go back and do another tradition of ours, Nils, is to sync up at the very beginning of the year and do the trend predictions for the year. I feel like we almost need a half-year, mid-year trend predictions, maybe one for AI. But one of the predictions I will add to the list, I'm going to claim this first, Nils. You can't own it, is that we are now pivoting into the age of voice. Voice is going to change everything. Voice-enabled things are going to change how we interface with the computer, how we actually get everything that we do done on a daily living.
I love that. So I think everybody heard it here first. I am claiming that this, the next big trend is going to be voice. And so I said it first. I claimed it. And editors, if you could just edit out that last minute and a half and just let everyone know that I am claiming. That makes a lot. I mean, at the end of the day, this shouldn't be that surprising, Kenny, when we look at Alexa and how far that came. And what's shocked me in the trend of voice is that Siri was on the front edge of it. And then it's almost like Siri just stopped improving. And then Alexa just came in and owned it. I have a Google Home, but I never found the Google Home to be that productive. Alexa was always my go-to voice assistant. Do you see this opening up the door for Amazon to have a more significant seat with voice? Do you think ChatGPT is going to be the primary voice, or do you think this is just part of the race of what's going to come?
Question. That's the big question. I think we have to take our bets now. All the big guys, Siri as well as Alexa, have announced. I think Alexa and Amazon announced over $1 billion investment in bringing large language models to Alexa. So, it feels right now that Siri and Alexa went to school, but they forgot to do their homework and they just stopped learning. They're cutting class, and it shows. And once ChatGPT functionality comes to these things, and once live search data and all this research is up to date, you can just imagine how powerful these things are going to be. And I do think it's going to go beyond that, because you have this progression of individual apps doing one specific task to, chaining them together,
Yep.
to agents, AI agents that are going to go out and do tasks for you.
Yep.
We're going to get to a point of that coupled with voice and mobility that we're just going to be able to do anything from anywhere. It's just going to be a whole new world.
Interesting. Are there any churches, Kenny, that you would point out from your Facebook group or just from some of the research you've done that are really on the cutting edge that you see really integrating AI into their workflows and into their ministry systems that that you could highlight?
Yeah, I don't have any specific ones with like actual specific use cases that they're using AI so uniquely. I
Yeah.
think what you're seeing broadly, though, is adoption of AI across the board in their current workflows, like as a part of it.
Yep.
And obviously, it's the first category is content creation, right? Like that,
Yep.
Whether it's sermon prep or research or
Yep.
creation of devotionals or articles, etc., sermon creation, that type of stuff, I think, are the places that pastors and church leaders are experimenting with. And
Yep.
you're seeing widespread adoption. We did a survey last year with Glue, the AI in the Church survey.
Yep.
And you saw a lot of hesitation in terms of for and against AI, period. And this year's survey that we did with Exponential AI Next, we were surprised. 87% of church leaders responded that they were positively for AI in any degree, like whether it's all, put the pedal to the metal or some measured way. Only 13% of respondents today said that they were completely against using AI in ministry, which I found surprising that speed of openness to AI has happened. But
yes,
it makes sense because the marketplace is embracing AI full throttle.
Yes.
And our congregation members who are sitting in the pews are working for those businesses that are adopting AI full throttle.
Yep.
It makes sense that the trickle-down effect is that people are open to it and that even church staff, they're seeing the potential benefits of it.
Yeah, interesting. And one church I specifically want to highlight, and I've talked about them previously on the podcast, but James River Church is using a cloned voice doing language translation, basically translating all of their English sermon content into Spanish. And I think they're up over 100,000 YouTube subscribers, 20 million views, and really cool use of that language translation technology and cloned voice technology. Kenny, as there are a lot of fear factors that some of them are legitimate and real, what are you seeing in that on that side that is concerning to you that leaders might not be thinking about yet or should be thinking about? Because just like social media, we pushed for social media, but we know all of social media is not good. There's opportunity with it, but there's also threats that come societally with it. What are some of your concerns that you're seeing kind of bubbling up that are concerning to you?
Yeah, I think it's, I think the problem is technology amplifies. And in this case, it amplifies the human potential for good and for bad. And we, our worldview as Christians is that we are broken people and that this is a tool that allows you to accelerate or, enlarge that aspect of our character, right? And so bad actors are going to use AI in terrible ways. And so I think that's the question of how do we now... I think the question that we need to wrestle with in the church and culture is how important is it for integrity and character and all those things that we might teach in Sunday school to our kids and compartmentalize it. It's like, oh, we want to teach this stuff, morals-based, values-based education to our kids in Sunday school, but are we taking it seriously in the church and, influencing our communities? Because I think that is the one place, if we do it well, we could steward our voices to help equip and support our neighbors, our internal communities, but also our neighbors as well in those questions.
Yeah, that's a good just call out to what, and I think at the end of the day, to understand those things we have to understand the technology in and of itself to understand how do we navigate those tensions. Kenny, what you mentioned voice, but are there some things maybe being done in the marketplace that churches haven't yet adopted that you hope or foresee that they'll begin to tinker with or begin to implement in the coming days when it comes to AI?
I think personalized journeys. I think really trying to use it against data sets and understanding how we can personalize and actually support an individual. In the business world, it's called the customer journey.
Yeah.
Right. So that experience that they have, how do you actually produce resources, responses, anticipate? How do we do that in a way that's meaningful, but also life-serving, right? We know that Amazon knows that you're pregnant before you're pregnant based on what you buy, and things like that, right? That's big data analysis, and AI is really good at those type of things.
Yes.
And so imagine if you are able to predictively actually make those decisions to light up support services and networks and relational things, programs, or segments of your community based on that. I think there's huge potential for discipleship, for care, for community building, for outreach, for all the felt needs in our communities. And businesses are starting to do that at scale.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so much of what we focused on with online church and with social media was evangelism and outreach and how to use these technologies to reach new people. But I think what I hear you saying is obviously there's things within our marketing systems and communication systems that can integrate. The opportunity as probably more significantly around discipleship when it comes to really customizing how we can support people with where they are in their faith and where they want to go. That makes a ton of sense.
We see a little bit of that right now, right? With predictive ads or ads that follow you around, right? And so we know, Nils, that you're looking for a running sneaker right now. And so then all of a sudden running sneakers ads and content pops up. And imagine if that type of approach is just given to either your life stage or things that are happening in the family or, you know, anything that you're experiencing. Imagine if the church is able to be responsive in that manner and surround you with those options and choices to demonstrate that the church can be super relevant, that the Bible and Jesus and faith has uber relevance to what you're going through, no matter where you are, and that maybe this is the time to take the next step in your relationship with Jesus Christ, whatever that next step is, that we can actually help you take that next step in your relationship with Jesus Christ. I just think that that's a huge opportunity that we as innovators need to figure out how to democratize this technology so that church leaders can get to it fast.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, Kenny, I want to share my biggest concern with AI that I think church leaders are going to have to deal with that I don't think we're talking about enough. It's my opinion that AI is going to take away a ton of jobs. And it already is in a lot of ways. I was listening to a Bill Gates interview recently, and he was talking to another leader that they fired half their sales team, mostly because they needed their best closers to stay, but a lot of the automated manual processes and sales were being replaced by AI, and they're actually seeing more white collar jobs being taken by AI than blue collar. But it's, I think AI integrated into robotics and things like that is going to take a lot of jobs from a lot of people in a lot of different spaces.
Yes.
And I believe that's going to have a significant societal effect. That a lot of people are like, well, we always just end up creating more jobs when we lose jobs. I don't perceive that to necessarily be the case here. There will be some new jobs created, but I think there will be more jobs lost to this technology than created, which I think is going to create a crisis of purpose in society. And I think churches need to be ready for that, of people that have done something like accounting for years or bookkeeping that's now being done by AI. And they can't just go get another job in that space because all of those jobs are going to be taken away. Or truck driving, they're saying, is going, is the number one job in North America. Well, trucks are going to drive themselves. That's an a function of AI. What's your take on that and jobs and what that's going to mean for society, and how should the church be ready or prepared for that?
This is why I love talking with you, because these are the types of issues that we need to be thoughtful about, right? And you spur these conversations that I think just could have so many different intended and unintended consequences for good. I think many jobs, like you said, will disappear, or functions within jobs will disappear.
Yes.
We just created a T-shirt at churchtechtoday.com. We're going to put it into our merch store, and it says, "AI took my job," in big letters, and then underneath it goes, "to a whole nother level."
Yep.
Right? And so there is this tension of, there are probably jobs and functions that will disappear because automation and technology and AI is going to be able to handle it. But I do think that fundamentally, like I like to say, if you're going to ignore AI and not dabble in it and not learn how it might be relevant to what your job is today, you're at risk. Your job is not going to necessarily be outsourced to AI immediately. I'm telling you, because we're at the beginning of the innovation front. ChatGPT hallucinates. In any other product category, we would label this as a broken product. It doesn't work right? Like typically, Apple would never ship AI like it is today because it just comes up with random facts sometimes, right? It just doesn't work. We're too early on that innovation front. So your job isn't going to disappear to AI immediately for the most part.
Right.
Your job might be taken by someone who knows your job and knows how to use AI. It just makes sense, right? The analogy is, if you're a hiring manager and you have two job candidates with two resumes, and one doesn't use Google and one uses Google, and it's for the same job and same education, same work experience, and one uses Google and one just doesn't use any search engines. Which one would you hire? Which one do you predictably think is going to be more productive in your job? And I think that AI is the same thing. Now, on the other side, I think we have a huge opportunity. Can we, as the church with a capital C, become relevant in the actual public square again, where the church did its really most important work at times in culture and society of building hospitals and schools and public institutions for the masses? What if we became one of those technology centers where people can get upskilled and reskilled, right? Using AI. If you're in any sort of non-denominational church in particular that has the fancy lights and LED screens and video and has cameras going on and does church online, etc., I've always said, why isn't that type of church doing tours for local small businesses or even larger enterprise businesses to help share the knowledge of content production, right? We're in a content production society today. What does the church do? We are on a 7-day production cycle producing the highest quality content for the mass audience, the public audience. What does every business out there have? What if we actually partnered and actually shared our knowledge and became the epicenter of learning and best practices for that to share with our neighbors in the marketplace? Same thing here. So I think we have an opportunity. Can we do that in a way where we again, the church has probably more opportunities for content production than the local average business. If you invested in AI with your teams and your staff, you are going to become the experts more so than the employees at any local business. Could we actually help not just the local businesses, but the people in our community, the people in the pews, to upskill and reskill within the context of how do you use AI? What's coming? What is it good for? What is it not good for? Ethics and policy, those things to think about. All those things that we have to grapple with at the church will make you a better leader in all those other spheres outside of the church in your local zip code.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's so right on. And I love that perspective. And I hope some church leaders are challenged right now of, one, I got to catch up to it so that I can be that leader. But yeah, let me not just integrate it here, but let me teach our church members about this and help them, or bring in experts to teach us and our members in our community about this, because we do see how important this is into the future. And I think the more our church members are aware and learning about it, the better they're prepared for their professional,
Yes.
endeavors and areas that they're focused on. One of the things I have said is I don't think churches, I think in many ways it'll actually give us the opportunity to hire more people within churches. But what it is going to replace functions within the church of, it's
Yes.
going to replace what we
Yes.
pay graphic designers or video editors or copywriters or administrative tasks, so that the people that work at the church can actually focus more on pastoral care. They can focus more on sermon preparation. They can focus more on ministry work and not the administrative functions of the church, because those can become more and more automated through AI, so that we can focus on ministry and not be so focused on the administrative side of things. But I do. I appreciate your thoughts, Kenny, because I have real concern over what this is going to mean, and I think there's going to be, and one of the things that Bill Gates said in his interview was that at the end of the day, where this will really be good for society is the savings of these efficiencies created the value is going to be transferred to the consumer more so than the business. The business is going to have to basically adapt their model because other businesses will drop their prices as they create those efficiencies. And so it's going to make everything, as homes are built by 3D printers, and as Amazon is already doing so much with robotics. Well, that's how they get their prices down, so that we can then, as consumers, get things in 2 days, and and it's without human error. And so there's a lot of value that gets delivered back to society, but there is still a cost. And I think we don't know what that will look like, but in the near future, at least, what I think we can all, lean into is that whatever work we're doing, if we can look at ways we can integrate AI into those processes, it's going to help us. And it's going to help us make us better at the work we're doing. And it's not a threat to replacing us if we integrate it well. And then I think too, we'll be able to find new things that we couldn't have done before because we didn't have the time or the capacity to do those things. And so it's just like when in any business, when you hire an assistant, then it frees you up to do more things that you couldn't otherwise do, so that you can do what only you can do. And there are going to be things that AI cannot do, that only humans can really do. And so it really is, I think, more exciting than it is concerning. But I think time will tell. And to your point, like dog years, this is moving really, really fast.
Yeah. The other thing, the church, I think, we don't know what AI is going to bring, right? So we don't know one cycle, 2 cycle, 3 cycles from now. We don't know what it's going to look like even 12 months from now. The one thing I know that is certain that churches can double down on now that they have all the resources and tools at their fingertips right now is start to really double down on teaching on self-worth and value and identity. That if we are rooted in our identity in what the world has and our work, that age-old thing that we say you should not be defined by what your job or what your job title is, but rooted in our identity in Jesus. What does that really mean? And how does that translate into real life? And that if you have the certainty and security of who you are and your significance here, then all of that stuff becomes a lot easier to weather if you actually are going through job loss, replacement, and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think, especially as we're getting out, so right now, we are coming out of the age of FOMO, right? FOMO with social media. We are now going into age of FOLO, the fear of looming obsolescence. Right?
Ooh, okay.
And so as we move from FOMO to FOLO, I think the church has this opportunity to stick in a wedge and really talk about where we place our identity is really important. And here's one option that we believe from a biblical worldview makes sense, and that is put all the chips in our identity in Jesus Christ. And I think that is at the that's the foundational thing that I think we have the opportunity that will then be applicable to all these other circumstances that we're playing war games with right now and trying to anticipate what's going to come out of it.
Kenny, that we're going to end the podcast right there, and I'm going to encourage everyone, just rewind about a minute and listen to that clip that Kenny just said again, because look, it's this is a moment, and this is a key moment that, and it's moving faster than ever.
Yeah.
That you're either going to catch up and keep up, or you're going to get left behind. And let's not do that. Let's be on the forefront of this, and when we're on the forefront, we'll be able to guide better where things go. I'm leaving this conversation, Kenny. I'm encouraged. I'm excited. I'm motivated. You just, we're going into the weekend, and now I'm not going to be able to relax as much because I'm going to want to study and play a little bit more with AI. But Kenny, we appreciate you so much. We appreciate everything that you do, leading the way, and just helping church leaders in so many different ways. And you've been doing this for more than a decade, and I'm so grateful for your voice and your life and your leadership. For those that want to connect with you, how can they best connect with you online?
Yeah, I'm pretty easy to find on social, or if you Google me, Kenny Jahng, everywhere. The latest place I'm hanging out is I'm serving as editor-in-chief at churchtechtoday.com. We're trying to really resource and equip the church there. And then AI specifically, I think the best place to go is aiforchurchleaders.com. aiforchurchleaders.com has a training library. We do monthly workshops, but we also have that dynamic Facebook group community of pastors and church staff. I think we're on our way to 6,000 members right now.
Yeah.
And it is one active party. So if you're not in there, you've got an invite formally. Look us up on Facebook, AI for Church Leaders and Pastors. Join, and we'd love to see you there.
Yeah, I would encourage everyone listening. We'll put a link to all of those sites in the show notes at socialmedia.church. But I would encourage everyone, your action item right now is to go get into that Facebook group. And I would just spend, block an hour, maybe a half hour, and just read through the last month's worth of posts. And you're going to get an education so fast by just reading through this post. And I think, and then jumping into the dialogue and the conversation there. And I think that's the best place right now. People are always asking me, where are you learning? And I remember for you and I, Kenny, we had a Facebook group for, I forget what they call online practitioners.
Yes.
Or online church practitioners or whatever it was back in the day. And we were just collectively learning. And there was like 200 of us, in that group. And you've got, almost 6,000 very active in this group that are really leaning in and pioneering this space. And I can't wait to see where it goes. I can't wait for our, future conversations and what unlocks, because this is changing. And our next conversation is going to be different than this conversation, even if it's the exact same topic,
Yes.
because this is not like Instagram maybe changed their algorithm a little bit. It's like Instagram is now like YouTube, and and now it's it really is progressing rapidly, and I believe that's an exciting day for us to innovate and use these tools that are now accessible to everyone. So Kenny, thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk to everyone again on the next episode.